Hey guys, welcome back to the Piston Show. I'm Kashi Dylan. Today is going to be something really special because we are getting acquainted with the Jetour Dashing. Now, the Dashing was introduced to Malaysians just about a week or two ago, and we are actually driving this on the 15th of April. So by the time you see this video, a couple of days would have passed. But we've been really excited to drive the Dashing simply because Malaysians have been teased for nearly a year. We first heard of Jetour and the Dashing model sometime in May of 2024. It took some time for it to arrive, but hey, it's over here already. Now, the first 100 units of the Dashing are going to be imported from China for our local market. But after that, they have a full-blown CKD program where they have partnered with Berjaya to assemble these cars in Johor. So Jetour, my friends, are here to stay. And today we're going to be driving the Dashing to Sekinchan, get to know the car a little bit better. It's going to be a first impression. I'm hoping to get the car later on for a full in-depth review. But this video should give you a good first impression of how the car feels like. Let's do this. But before we start driving this car, I'm sure you're wondering, what is Jetour? How come you've never heard of them? Well guys, these days we live in some very special times because we are being bombarded by new brands that we have never heard of before. And truth be told, it's not a bad thing because judging from how this car looks like and everything that it has to offer, for a price tag of just 116,800 ringgit, which is the price tag for the flagship variant, the non-flagship, the second model, the second variant actually is priced at about a little over 108,000 ringgit. Anyway, back to my point. Who is Jetour? How long have they been in the market and can you trust them? Well, Jetour is actually a brand under the Chery umbrella, just like Jaiku and such. And they've been around since 2018 and they've sold over 1 million cars globally. So when it comes to doing stuff, you can trust that these guys actually know what they are doing. And they also have over 1,200 service networks all around the world. So in that sense, I think Jetour is a well-established brand. And in that sense, I think you can rest easy knowing that these guys know what they're doing. Besides that though, they've also been on a roll of sorts as far as sales is concerned. Because when the brand was first established in 2018, they just sold somewhere about a little over 40,000 cars. But fast forward to 2024, Jetour sold over 500,000 cars, closer to 600,000 in fact. And that is just testament to the trust that people have in Jetour. But how does the car feel like? Let's go find out. Alright guys, this is the first time I'm actually seeing the interior of the Jetour Dashing. I couldn't attend the launch because I was busy with something else, but Timothy actually came with an extensive write-up on the Jetour Dashing, so you can check out his write-up at piston.my. But anyway, this is the first time that I'm seeing the interior of this car. I haven't had a chance to get acquainted with it, which is okay because this is truly my first impression of this car. So what do you think about it? First things first, I feel like I've seen these seats before in one of those Chery products. I think I've seen this in the Omoda. Not exactly like this, but the design, not a bad thing. They look really comfortable to sit on. You just see, yeah, it's quite nice in fact. And the nice thing is, they're all electronically adjustable for both driver and passenger. Now besides that, the interior, well, the thing about Chinese cars is that they have this sense that once you've seen one, you've seen them all. Particularly with brands that have trickled down from one mother brand. I'm talking about Chery. So if you've been in Jaiku, you've seen Omoda, now you've seen Jetour, there will be certain elements where they are shared from a common parts bin, which is quite normal because other brands like Volkswagen do it as well. I'm talking about the start button over here. This start button, I've seen it in Cherry brand, I've seen it in Omoda and such. Not a bad thing, because hey, it's just there to start the car. And I have to say that I've seen this also in a Mercedes-Benz before. And again, I've said this many times that you see a lot of inspiration from Mercedes in Cherry cars. Not a bad thing. The other thing is, this screen over here measures in at over 20 inches. So you get your instrument cluster, digital instrument cluster, your infotainment screen comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, the works. And besides that, you get an electronic gear selector, a bunch of buttons which actually feel good. And so far, quality feels decent. And I really don't have much to say. Everything feels nice. You get a charge pad. Don't mind the walkie-talkie because we are here for a organized drive. And then besides that, you get this massive panoramic roof, but this is only for the flagship variant. The non-flagship does not get a panoramic roof, so to speak. So as far as first impressions go, feels good. How does the back seats feel? Let's go find out. So the back seats actually feel good. Just like the front, this is the first time that I'm sitting in the back seats. Lots of leg space, lots of headroom, and you feel like you're sitting quite deep inside the car. The window sills are actually quite high, above my shoulders in fact. So I feel well protected in fact, because I feel like I'm sitting deep inside the car and that nothing can touch me over here. So in that sense, it feels very secure, feels nice. Comfort is good. The back seat has a nice recline to it. Let's see what's inside here. Cup holders, typical, and more storage space all around. And interestingly, I don't see any USB ports over here. That's weird, because I read that there's USB ports, and it's just that I don't see any. Oh, there they are, hidden. So you get a Type A and Type C USB port right over here, hidden out of view. Besides that, I like the speaker column over here, the door opener, and everything feels good. It feels very premium, so to speak. And I really like this red stitching all around the car. Makes it feel very premium, so to speak. Let's go check out the boot space. So guys, this is the boot space. 486 liters. No spare wheel, but sometimes the spare wheel is located underneath the car. Let me just check underneath the car, and no, I don't see any spare wheel over here. So not even a jeng is hidden here. So anyway, that's a space saver wheel, and much better than a tire repair kit. Besides that, you get a tonneau cover. As I said, 486 liters of storage space, expandable to 977 liters of overall storage. So it's decent to take your family about and such. I particularly like the fact that it comes with a spare wheel, because I'm quite particular about that. If you follow all of my reviews, I speak about spare wheels quite often, simply because the last thing that you want is to be stranded by the side of the road. Besides that, you also get a lot of LED lights. Check out the detailing on the lights over here. So it looks really good. And then the reverse camera is up here. No, is that the reverse camera? I don't think so. I'm not sure what that is for, but anyway, that's the third brake light. And overall, car looks really good. First impression, quite decent. Let's go check out the engine bay. So this is it, guys. A 1.5 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that produces 156 PS and 230 Newton meters of torque. Drive is sent to the front wheels through a dual clutch transmission, and it's a 4-cylinder engine, And you get 3 different driving modes: economy, comfort and sport. So how will a turbocharged 1.5 litre engine perform? I expect it to perform quite well, because this is not the only C segment car with a 1.5 litre engine. Let's not forget that the Proton X70 as well comes with a 1.5 litre engine these days, and that comes with a 3-cylinder engine, and that has been well received. How will this perform? So soon we're going to drive it to Sekinchan, spend the entire day with it and kind of get acquainted with how it feels like. Watch out for that. Now, at the back seats of the Dashing, this is where we are, spending the first part of our journey to Sekinchan. And I've got to say that you do hear a little bit of the tyre noise that is intruding back into the cabin, but it's not overwhelming. Having said that though, I just want you to take note of the amount of leg space that I have at the back over here. So it's quite comfortable. I'm being driven by a industry colleague of mine who writes for DSF, a really good friend of mine as well. And I gotta say that he's probably about 5'6", 5'7", no good?
5'7", 5'8", somewhere like that.
Yeah, about 5'7", 5'8", and this is his sitting position for somebody that tall. And for me, nudging 6 feet, this is the amount of legroom that I have, which means that I can get easily comfortable at the back over here. I've already pointed out earlier that the headroom and overall space is quite decent, but what I really like about this back seat is the recline of the backrest is really comfortable. The cushioning of the seats is quite decent as well. But the one thing that I truly like is the size of the windows over here, which lets in a lot of light. And if you're the type that is sometimes claustrophobic and suffer from motion sickness over long distances, this is something that you'll probably appreciate, because the amount of light that comes back into the cabin makes it feel quite airy and spacious. So that's something that I appreciate about the back seats of the Dashing. Now, as I pointed out, tyre noise, yes, it's audible, but it's not terrible. So in that sense, it's quite decent. Now I'll be taking over the driver's seat later on, and I'll let you know how it feels like from up ahead. Alright guys, so behind the wheel of the Jetour Dashing, and I really am not quite sure how I feel about this car, because even though the back seat is comfortable and general comfort levels is quite decent, but the driving experience is just that. There's a lag in power delivery. It gets you up to speed. You eventually get to where you want to be, but it's just not very inspiring along the way. But that's fine. Ultimately, we do have to remember that this is a car. The flagship version costs 116,800 ringgit. So perhaps a little of management of your expectations is needed. And the other thing that sort of riles me up a little bit is the general infotainment system and its software. For example, right now, if I wanted to change driving modes for whatever reason, I would first have to click on this button here, and then I will have to go into vehicle settings. There's 2 steps, and then I have to go to drive, which is 3 steps, and then I can choose between sports and eco for my driving mode and comfort and sport for your power steering mode. There's no dedicated button for your driving modes anywhere around here. So that's something that you have to look out for. I know a lot of people that will just select their drive mode and perhaps never touch it again for the entire year or something of that sort. But it's just the inconvenience of having to go through multiple menu layers. And this is something that I've always said about cars, particularly from China. The user friendliness of the software it's something that can be improved. Not all of them, but just some of them. This is a case in hand. But one thing that is good about this about the Jetour is that air conditioning controls are neatly laid out over here. This is great. Of course, if I need to peel away this plastic and then you can sort of see all these buttons over here. And this is how you adjust your blower settings, and your temperature settings are right over here. So as you can see, if I touch this goes up and down, so I can also do this, and in case you're feeling cold or warm But this also shows me that there's no dual zone air conditioning, which I guess for 116,800 ringgit, so again, you got to manage your expectations. Now the other thing that riles me up again is the display over here. It's not, let me just accelerate. Look at how the RPM meter just sort of lags a little bit. It's not very smooth. So the RPM meter also just sort of, in terms of its display, it's just not very, it does not feel very premium in that sense. But then again, it's a car that costs just under 117,000 ringgit. So if you're willing to look past all of that and you appreciate the Jetour Dashing for what it is, what you get is a car that is quite, firstly, comfortable. Refinement levels are not bad. I do sort of agree with my friend Logan, who pointed out that the refinement levels up ahead over here are much better than at the back. Perhaps it's because at the back you're sitting closer to the back wheel, and that's why you hear a lot more of tire noise and such. But at the front over here feels better and sounds better. Windows are not double glazed, they're single glazed. Again, something that is quite common of cars of this price point. If you're willing to look past all of that I just mentioned just now, not many things, just a couple of things, and it's not exactly a deal breaker. But what you get is a car that is comfortable, that is refined and such. But what about performance? Now, we are waiting for the traffic light to turn green, and that will be a great opportunity to actually put pedal to the metal and see how it actually feels like. But for now, we appreciate the car for what it is, and you get stuff like wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you get a decent sounding 6-speaker sound system. Tried it out earlier. You don't get that richness of bass to it, but it does sound good. And then besides that, as I pointed out earlier in this video, I also really like the fact that it comes with a panoramic roof, which is great for a car of this price point as well. And if you've not noticed, you get 3 air conditioning blowers at the front over here. One for the, I'm not quite sure, one is for when the ultra hot days and such. Now, I'd just like to bring your attention to the steering wheel over here. Check out the number of buttons we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you get pedal shifters as well. This still does not beat the previous generation Ford Ranger, which if I'm not mistaken, had about 15 buttons on the steering wheel for you to remember. So 12, I can live with that. And other than that, what else can I point out to you while we wait for the lights to turn green? Over here, this is basically your controls for the infotainment screen, and this, you can also turn it off and on. And if you turn it off, you get this digital clock over here. And I think this is something that I should point out as well. I really miss the olden analog clocks that you used to get in cars and such, but those are long gone now. And you also get a hill descent control. Hill descent control and such. Not sure why you'll need it, but another thing that friends discovered is this. Check out the lighting on the vanity mirror. Not sure how this will look like at night, but that's really cool. And now, pedal to the metal, guys. Just get a little bit of whine from the turbo. Not exactly explosive. So, let me just get past this driver. Okay, anyway, it's not exactly explosive in nature, this powertrain. So it gets you up to speed in decent time. What time? How fast exactly? Well, we tried to do some research just now, and it's somewhere between 9 to 11 seconds. So not not very fast, but this is a car that weighs over 1,500 kilograms. We still got about an hour's worth of driving to do, and about 45 minutes worth of driving to do, and that should tell us, by the end of this drive, I should be able to tell you how this car feels like in terms of fuel consumption, comfort levels, and such. I'll be right back. So all in all, it's been a comfortable ride. There's no doubting that. The suspension does a brilliant job at just absorbing everything, particularly on the roads around leading here to Sekinchan. You know how bad it can be. And if you don't know how bad it can be, well, it's a road that is always plowed by heavy trucks. So in that sense, the conditions of the road can be quite bad, and I believe that the Jetour Dashing did a really good job at absorbing all of that. Now, power delivery seems a little bit lacking. Power is not why you would buy the Dashing. The good thing about this power plant though is a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder engine, where else this closest competitor, the Proton X70, is a 3-cylinder engine. That 3-cylinder engine from the Proton X70 has been around for a while already, so it doesn't really matter whether it's a 3-cylinder or 4-cylinder. But if you are still if you still think that a 4-cylinder engine is superior than a 3-cylinder engine, then this might be your answer. I do suggest that you try this out or give it a go, because you definitely will need to feel the power delivery to actually understand how this power plant works. The dual clutch transmission, yes, there's a little bit of a lag in between gear shifts, and even if you use the pedal shifters, it does not give you the explosive acceleration that you would want, particularly when you're merging into traffic and such. But again, you don't buy a Jetour Dashing for its performance. You buy it because it's spacious, it's comfortable, and it's quite decent, particularly this flagship variant, which costs just a dash under 117,000 ringgit. So in that sense, I believe the Jetour Dashing is quite comfortable. There are a couple of niggles that annoy me, but it's something that I can live with, and those are things that I've come to appreciate about the Jetour Dashing. I also got to point out that perhaps fuel consumption is something that you need to be wary of as well. Now, the onboard computer is telling me we did somewhere between 11.5 to 12 liters per 100 km, and we are close to a half tank. We started the day with a full tank, and we are here in Sekinchan, and we are close to a half tank already. So this, I believe it's also because the engine is still new. It's not, even though we've done about 1,094 kilometers on this engine, it's still perhaps tight around the edges. So as it goes through its life cycle, if after 3,000 to 5,000 kilometers, I believe the fuel consumption would get better. Besides that though, the display for the instrument cluster, which I was mentioning earlier, well, I found a way around it. If you come here, you can change the display to have it give you a very minimalistic display. So this should solve that lag that I was telling you about earlier. It still gives you all of that information that you will need, such as the speed, your fuel consumption, your RPM dial, the temperature of the powertrain and all. But besides that, I believe this would be the easiest way to not get annoyed with the lag in the instrument cluster, which I was pointing out earlier. Other than that though, I also need to tell you that these silver accents around the car, they look good. They definitely look good. But when the sun is shining at the right angle, this might tend to blind you, just as it is right now. I was driving with my hand covering this silver trim over here. But the Jetour Dashing is not the only car that has this. It's my job to tell you that, hey, look out for this. So this is something that might actually blind you when the sun is just at the right angle, particularly around 2 p.m. Anyway, other than that though, I believe the Jetour Dashing would appeal to those that want a handsome package that is comfortable yet not pricey. So in closing, should you spend your money on the Jetour Dashing? Well, as I've said earlier, if you want something that is big, spacious, comfortable, then for sure. But there's also a cherry on the top of this cake in the form of a superb warranty program. So you get a 7-year or 150,000 kilometer vehicle warranty and a 10-year or 1 million kilometer engine warranty. On top of that, you get 5 times free labor as well as parts service. But that's not all. The Jetour Dashing also comes with quite an extensive array of safety systems. So you get stuff like 6 airbags. This is the flagship variant. You get 6 airbags, a almost complete ADAS safety system that includes lane change warning, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, 360-degree camera with a 180-degree underbody camera, meaning 540-degree camera. But it does not come with autonomous emergency braking. So all in all, I believe that the Jetour Dashing has almost everything that you need in a car, except for those small niggles that I was pointing out earlier. I think this is a car that is probably brilliant to live with on a day-to-day basis if you're looking for something comfortable that will not break the bank. And I, for one, really like the overall design of the car as well. There's no doubt that it is a handsome package. Let me know what you think about the Jetour Dashing in the comment section below. For me, as I said earlier, it's a nice, comfortable ride with just a few minor niggles that I'm sure that all of us can learn to live with. Thank you for watching, guys. Do consider subscribing.